So thank you. My comments are very brief. I just wanted to welcome you to the El Dorado National Forest with the King Fire backdrop, and I want to say to you that Chief Caslin and myself represent two of the largest and finest wildland firefighting organizations in the world. We work together here in this part of the state, and we're committed to that. And Mike, to you.
Okay. Thank you, Lawrence. Well, I'd also like to say welcome. Where we're at right now is on the El Dorado National Forest at the Pacific Ranger District helipad. Behind us is a very small portion of the King Fire. The King Fire started last year on September 13th, burned 97,000 acres, and it took over 8,000 firefighters 3 weeks to contain. In addition to that, we've had over 400,000 gallons of retardant dropped on that, and now we are going through the recovery phase of the King Fire. I would like to turn this now over to CAL FIRE's Director, Chief Ken Pimlott, to discuss statewide issues.
Thank you, Chief Caslin, and again, thank you everybody for taking the opportunity to be out here this afternoon. It's no accident today that the King Fire is the backdrop for this press conference. What you see behind us is the potential this year across the entire state of California. We're standing here today in a fourth year of unprecedented drought in California. That drought has had far-reaching impacts on the entire state. From the perspective of wildland fire, it means critically dry vegetation, and not just the grass, which you see an abundance of driving up here today. It's vegetation as large as conifer trees, large trees, brush, all of that is ripe to burn, and ripe to burn again this year at explosive rates. We have been seeing fire activity all winter. We're actually, in terms of the 5-year average, we have had almost twice as many fires to date as we would have on average. That's over 1,122 fires this year to date. That is significant. Because of those conditions, we have continued to maintain staffing throughout California all winter. In an unprecedented move, we've had over 70 fire engines spread throughout California, continuing to respond to fires and supporting fire prevention activities and other critical roles throughout the winter. Just a month or so ago, almost 2 months ago, we began a ramp up around the state to bring resources on early. And we are approaching within the next several weeks our peak staffing here within the next several weeks. That includes air tankers, helicopters, fire engines, hand crews. We've brought on two additional air tankers, or will be here shortly, to augment the state's response across the state. We are taking this very seriously. Just in the last 13 years, we've had probably 10 of the top 20 most damaging fires in the state history. We're seeing conditions change, and it's certainly being demonstrated in the kinds of fire activity that we witnessed last year, right here in El Dorado County and across the state. The challenge we have is that 95% of the fires that occur in this state are started by people. And in many cases, that's people doing the right thing. They're mowing, they're weed eating, they're doing all the things that we're asking you to do to prepare ahead of the fire. The challenge is they're being done when the humidities are low or at the wrong time of the day. So we need folks to pay attention to the guidance and the guidelines we're providing for everyone to ensure you're doing the right thing at the right time. This week kicks off our annual campaign, Wildfire Awareness Week. The idea here is to go statewide and get this public message out, that it's about what the public can do in addition to what all of the agencies behind me, local, state, and federal, are already doing as partners to prepare for their response. But you, as the public, need to prepare ahead of time to prepare yourself and give the firefighters a fighting chance when they come to protect your homes, your property, and the resources of California. So it's as simple as ready, set, go. And we preach this every year. That message has not changed. It's be ready. It's all the things you need to do ahead of time to remove debris from around your home, provide that defensible space around your home, up to 100 feet of vegetation clearance and removal to ensure the fire does not impinge on your home and the firefighters can effectively protect that home. But it also means this year that as again we are in the 4th year of drought, it means that like many and thousands of Californians around the state, you're letting your lawn dry up. We don't have water to water lawns and unnecessary landscaping. So what that means is you need to remove that vegetation as it dries. We don't want your dry lawn and your dry brush to contribute to more of the fire hazard. So stop watering your lawn and remove it. We have lots of guidance that you can go online and look for fire-safe, low water use, drought-tolerant vegetation that is reduced in its flammability. At the end of the day, it's ready, it's set. And set means have your evacuation plans put together, identify all the things you're going to take with you. When you leave, have all your contacts made and be ready. And then lastly, it's go. That means go. It means don't wait for the last minute. It means when a fire like you see behind us is burning, you should be ready to go and leaving in a safely, orderly fashion, even ahead of our firefighters and police officers asking you to go. Again, do it safely. Ready for Wildfire is the website. It has all that information, has access to all of our partners, and the information that you need. At the end of the day, we want this to be all of our property owners, all of our residents in California to be safe and follow the guidance so we can protect lives, property, and natural resources in California. With that, I would like to introduce the Secretary for California's Natural Resources Agency, Secretary John Laird.
Thank you very much. In addition to CAL FIRE, in the Natural Resources Agency is the Department of Water Resources. Last month's Sierra snowpack measurement at the beginning of April was 6% of normal. 6% of normal. The previous low for that time of year was 25% normal last year and in 1977. The measurement that the Department of Water Resources does that was scheduled a few days ago was just outright canceled. There was no purpose to go up to Phillips Station at 6,500 feet with nothing on the ground and formally measure that there was nothing on the ground. So we are in an incredible fire season. Tomorrow, the State Water Resources Control Board will officially assign the reduction targets for water users across the state. And the University of California at Merced, professors there have released studies showing that the fire season now is much longer than the fire season was in the generation of our parents and our grandparents. And so this may well be the new normal, that is a longer season. And we have to be ready given that in a couple of ways. One is a gallon wasted here is a gallon lost here, drawing the relationship between water and fire. Obviously, there's training going on how to use less water in firefighting, but at the end of the day, CAL FIRE will do whatever it is necessary to put out the fire. That is also true with the budget. Yes, there is a budgeted amount. There's an emergency fund. But at the end of the day, if the fire season causes that to be completely exceeded, we will fight the fires and we will pay for them. So that is just an important thing to know. And let me reiterate some of the things that the chief said. Because basically, and it's always hard to paraphrase the governor, but at one of these press conferences last year, the year before, he said the message is, don't do anything stupid. And so we have to reiterate that. That is the message. Don't do anything stupid. As the chief said, 95% of fires are caused by human activity. It is really whether or not people use good judgment in their day-to-day life that fires will start. In the 4th year of a drought, with a water shortage and a much longer fire season, if there was ever a time for people to be more careful about what they do, this is it. So that's our message, and I think also the chief was good in saying have a plan, thinking about that. because if you look at documentaries on the fire in San Diego a decade ago, other places, the key decisions were made in the first hours of the fire. The judgment calls that people had to make about their own safety were just instantaneous and at the beginning of a fire when it really was getting away. People need to have thought about that before they are in the situation. And there is a chance in the fourth year of a drought that that will happen this year. So we're going to be ready with money. We're going to do our best to minimize the use of water, but use whatever it takes. We're in a longer fire season, and with the governor's climate change orders last week, we are aware of the emissions caused by fire. So it is a climate change issue to do what is the right thing in prevention and awareness. And with that, I'm going to introduce Shawna Garza, who's Director of Fire and Aviation for the U.S. Forest Service in Region 5. Shawna?
Good afternoon, and just wanted to say thank you to CAL FIRE for letting the Forest Service be a part of the Wildfire Awareness Week. This is the second year in a row that we've been a part of the Wildfire Awareness Week. Yeah, in addition to the thank you to the firefighters that are out there and all the work that you've done in the past. As you can see from the King Fire in the background, a lot of effort goes into large fire and initial attack suppression. And not just the firefighters to thank, but the families of the firefighters, your families that help support you being a firefighter and working in the public service. The U.S. Forest Service continues to be prepared for this wildfire season as we have in the past. We know, given the 4-year drought, that this last winter we also increased our staffing. We brought on some air tankers and helicopters earlier than normal, not just to help the federal agencies of the Forest Service, but our state and local government. We're looking at going into earlier fire restrictions. As you've heard from the speakers before me, we have to be ready to have restrictions in place sooner than later. In addition, we have also been doing some different training and field exercises of dry mopping and conservation of water. As Chief Pamlott talked about, human-caused fires, 90% of our fires are human-caused. We encourage people to go to the One Less Spark, One Less Wildfire, and learn about when you're going into the National Forest, if you're going to have a campfire, that you put it out all the way before you leave. If you're going to go to the lake and take your boat, that you check your tow chain, make sure it's not dragging on the floor. Check your tire pressures, make sure your tires are fully filled. Vehicle fires are second leading cause of fires too. Partnerships, we all know that we can't do this alone as a Forest Service or just a state, so we do a lot of work with the cohesive strategy, means being wildfire prepared, both for initial attack and in your neighborhood. That's both CAL FIRE, federal agencies, and ourselves for our wildfire response. Last thing I think about is the 3 C's to effective relationships: communication, collaboration, coordination. I think in a year coming like we have now, we got to practice that more than ever. And as you can see by today, we're going to start off the week showing the partnerships we have with state and local government and the feds. So with that, I'd like to introduce the Director of Cal OES, Mark Gilliducci.
Great, thanks, Shawna. Good afternoon. Mark Gilliducci, I'm Director of Governor Brown's Office of Emergency Services. You've heard that it's going to be a bad fire season, and you hear this a lot in California. But the scenery behind us, which is really awe-inspiring, I can take you to a half a dozen other places from last fire season that look similar to this. And this year we are entering into the 4th year of drought, as both the Secretary and the Chief have said. We know that the conditions are much worse this year. We know that fire start will be rapid, fire spread will be rapid and erratic. And really a lot of this depends upon you, our citizens, which are partners with us, to be able to prevent and help manage one of these wildfires. At the Office of Emergency Services, our role is Governor Brown's office to coordinate all of the different agencies and partners that respond, public safety entities that respond and manage these fire situations. California is a disaster-prone state, and wildland fire is one of the most critical threats that we face. The drought has exasperated that tremendously, and we know that after this season, we'll have more forest land like this that will be damaged or destroyed. Our key role is to really protect lives and property, but part of that is not just a government solution. It's a public, private, non-governmental, and citizen responsibility. All of us coming together to be able to prepare. We know we put our public responders, our first responders, our firefighters in harm's way. But it's important for you to help us by preparing your home, by making clearance, defensible space, by listening to when you get evacuation orders, by having more than one evacuation route identified and practicing with your family and your friends, having a good communication plan. At the Office of Emergency Services, we're not only coordinating the initial response through the life of the disaster, but then we come in afterwards to help communities to recover. It's a complete package. And we do this with our local government partners, our local firefighters, law enforcement, and our state partners and our federal partners. We all coming together, as well as groups like the American Red Cross and the Salvation Army. It's an all hands on deck response, but it starts with you. So we ask you this year, think about safety, think about your safety, prepare yourself, have a plan, prepare your home, and listen to warnings should these fires occur in your community. Thank you very much. Now I think I'm going to send it back to Chief Pemlott for some final comments. That concludes the presentation portion of the press conference.